Welcome back. This is Quantum Akashic Soul. I am Elasa, and we're going to go over a couple more slides on holograms just to kind of get some more perspective on how your projection of a hologram is working with you, around you, through you, and looking at the magnetic gravitational field of the earth and, seeing how the magnetics of the earth, along with the magnetics of your mind and the projections you're creating in your own personal magnetics, how that's interplaying with your soul, your light, your electrical energy of spirit. So when we look at this first image, we've got a light blue grid representing the matrix, a greater matrix, and a greater magnetic field, let's say, of Gaia, Earth, different dimensions, different planes of existence. Let's say that on the plane of existence that you would consider the Earth, you're vibrating at a frequency that's more in harmony with, the first through third dimensions. And then all of a sudden you lift your frequency through positive feelings and thoughts, positive hertz frequency music, toning, and all of a sudden you're vibrating at a higher frequency, so you access another plane of existence that's seemingly on top of the others. So dimensionally speaking, we could think of, like a stack of plane of existences across the earth. And that's just a perspective, because when we start going deeper into the knowledge, we realize that really it's all happening at once. It's so finite, and it's being projected from you at whatever level of awareness you're at, whether you're at the soul or you're at a greater spirit, field of existence that's very wide and vast, containing the one, containing all. So when we look at this light blue grid across the earth, this is a matrix. It's a mother. It's like a womb. Matrix means the womb. And so let's say that the earth mother has this big womb that you are experiencing, and it has a magnetic field. And depending on how you're resonating with the frequency of the density or lack thereof of the field that you're playing in, the dimensional field across the earth, you will magnetically and gravitationally draw towards certain signposts, reality creations of the greater spiritual plane of that mother grid, that motherboard. Okay? So when we're looking at a matrix, a big matrix, let's say all the way across, again, what you would perceive as the earth, there's going to be different pockets that are holding different frequencies. So you may visit, or seemingly visit, because we also learn in the quantum knowledge that you don't really go anywhere, it just seems like you're going places, but you may seemingly visit a blueprint of a space that's called Iowa, and it's going to feel differently than a space that has a blueprint called Florida. So as you visit those different places and spaces of location, you may access different frequencies. So they may access different planes of existence across the plane, across the matrix of the earth. Depending on how you're resonating, it's going to how you're going to experience it, how much you believe in it, and you're like almost leaning on it for support. You're going to experience what the matrix has been set up and plotted into a map. Whereas if you let go of plots and maps and signposts and you start recreating your world, you may go to Iowa that seems way different than someone else visiting an Iowa that's dependent on that matrix of Iowa, of the map, to declare how it's going to be. Whereas another being who is clear on how they are creating reality, they visit the so-called state of Iowa, and they have a different state of mind of how it's going to be. So they experience a different plane of it, a different frequency subset, a different metaverse of it. So that's one thing I want to get across to you. The next on this slide, it says spirit/soul light electrical interplay. So we have the soul light, the individual soul, and as it grows in awareness and starts to realize at a very great oneness of consciousness, it is not just one singular soul. It is all. It is source. It is the greater spirit across the plane, across the existence that it be. So that light, that spirit light or soul light coming into a singular orb packet of a torus is going to, let's look at a torus on the left here, the dark navy torus. It's like a donut that creates its own personal hologram, its own personal electrical energy of the soul of source light coming through that torus illuminates the light of the blueprint within that personal matrix, as well as the greater matrix of, let's say, that light blue plane matrix grid across the earth. So it's going to experience the belief of the blueprints. What are blueprints? They're mental body projections. So they're literally holding a plan of how that plane is going to be experienced. And as the being has different feelings connected to that blueprint, is also going to create different reality subsets that can be experienced. So truly, one thought I wanted to share today was, there is no one truth, because at every different frequency that you hold, you will experience a different projection. So if we're thinking of parallel realities all happening at once, where in one reality you've won the lottery and you can feel that and see that in your mind's eye, that's a blueprint. Whereas in another lower frequency where you don't believe you can, that it's way far out there, that's another now moment reality happening simultaneously with the others, the other, infinite amount of parallel realities. So it's frequency based. As you rise the frequency and allow for that higher potential to actualize, you then draw towards that different subset of the blueprint that's being projected. Okay? So you've got these blueprints set in place in the mental plane as well as in the virtual plane. So in the virtual space, when you close your eyes, that virtual reality is also like another plane of existence. There's many different planes of existences, and they're frequency based. So when you are bringing in that life force, the soul consciousness energy that you be, and it is streaming through these blueprints, these matrices, through your avatar, you project the light into the torus, onto these matrix green screens to experience that which you believe, feel, and are thinking. So your perception could change in any now moment. You could perceive that what you just saw was bad, and it can go down a whole lower frequency subset. Whereas in the next moment, you can decide that you're going to think that it's actually good, or that there's no meaning at all and there's no point of view, and you neutralize, and all of a sudden the scene changes in front of you. You're printing out a new reality where 2 moments ago you were seeing something that didn't feel right, to all of a sudden you neutralize it, and then you say it's going to be this, and it's beautiful, and the whole scene changes. So we have our perceptions every now moment can also direct how the projection of light is being experienced through a biofeedback system out into the matrix, out into these, toroidal screens, these fields of vision. Okay? And how they're gravitating with each other, the like frequencies of the light particles. So the like hertz of symphony of light particles, how they're interplaying with each other will either push them apart. So if another soul is next to you and they're having a whole different reality of thoughts, feelings, and emotions and actions, and it's a lower frequency subset, a lower frequency symphony, they may go away, whereas another who's thinking like you will gravitate and magnetically pull, that gravitational magnetic pull towards each other. So next we have a personal soul hologram next to a larger collective hologram. And we've got a green grid here representing a matrix, a womb, a space of a larger spiritual plane that has a very large collective torus hologram of a sum of many monadic beings, many souls working together who have a sum total of similar beliefs, and they may project a reality that says that there's a park down the street. Whereas you may be in meditation next to this park and it disappears because you have a different set of projections that are being worked with by the sum total of your thoughts, feelings, emotions, and actions. So you could clearly have it like a mirage disappear while you experience a whole different reality or dimension, a whole different projection within your torus. And you may even teleport out of that whole reality altogether and transport yourself to a whole new space and place. And so we've got an image here, of almost like a spiral that lifts you in frequency and takes you into a whole nother plane of existence that would, let's say, is vibrating higher than the one where everyone believes the park is happening. And then lastly, I want to talk about when two souls are next to each other and their toruses are projecting their own personal point of views of what's happening. So you may have a soul who's vibrating pretty high, fully embodied with their highest potentiality in the white torus here, and then a more denser, soul that's next to them who is also embodied and grounded in the reality and believes that the reality is so fixed because it's bought into the fixed reality belief systems that says, everything that it sees is fixed. There's only way it could ever move or be changed would be, through density movements. And you alongside them believe that things can shapeshift pretty fast. You're working with your quantum knowledge and you change, your frequency through some breathing, through some smiling, through some different visions, different, drawing into a parallel reality of your highest potential. And you feel it. You feel as if you see it in your mind's eye, not way out in front of you, but you're embodying it. And all of a sudden, your torus shows you a whole different reality of lights and colors and, magic happening right there in front of you. Whereas the neighboring soul doesn't even see anything that you saw. They don't see, the spiritual guide showing up in front of you. They don't see the orb of light, the stardust. They don't see a vortex opening up. All they see is a tree in front of them. This can happen because we've got different projections. We're working within our own individual torus of our light body that creates a hologram for us to experience, again, the sum total thoughts, beliefs, emotions, and existing memories that you're still working off of, If you've got deep unconscious, subconscious memories of things you haven't cleaned up yet, and they're holding density, they're holding anchors in the reality. When you go experience similar archetype patterns, similar location, similar factors of, details, you may, through the memory, in the memory bank, experience that, similar experience that you are holding in the unconscious or subconscious mind. Whereas on the alternative of that is you may clean that up from a different age or a different memory and decide to have that memory change, or to cleanse it all the way to the now that you're here right now eternally in an omnipresent way, infinitely. And you decide that you're going to experience what you're experiencing each now moment fresh and clear and clean, coming from, new points of view that you're generating at the highest potential. Okay. I hope this helps some of you understand, overstand some additional concepts around holograms, around the potentials that you have. Our video we did last, it's making me think of just adding in before I hang up here that, or delete, let's not say hang up, let's say expand and have a completion of this, is you can have a greater impact or a greater effect on a greater hologram by thinking of a greater space, by thinking of the collective. So you can project your personal, individual soul hologram, but you also have the potential, as you come into greater awareness, that you are not just an individual soul, that you are all, you are source, you are the one. And you can have very, grandiose, wonderful thoughts and blueprint laying for the collective, for the new world that you are projecting. So you may not just think of your personal life, you're close to your individual, but you may be thinking about rebuilding schools in your mind's eye and what you know that they are, and you're tapping into that potential by embodying it through vision and through the projection beyond the individual soul into the greater plane of existence. You may be birthing continents. This is something we've been doing for a few, what we would call years, where we know that we're not just, seeing something through for the personal or close individual subset of souls that I'm working with, but for all to experience a whole new world of Arya, and this continent of Arya that I am embodying, the vision that I'm seeing and feeling and knowing to be, is a very high potential place of presence and highest potential love. It's vibrating love infinitely. It is the land of plenty. So you can have greater, build outs, blueprints. And that's something that some of you are here to do. So we're sending you lots of love, and we look forward to our next shining. We appreciate you. So that you can see more, like, subscribe, and share.